ND filters for the Mini 4 Pro are the secret to getting really nice cinematic footage, but the thing is, they're actually really easy to use if you just know a few little basic things. And I'm going to tell you all of those things in this video, and I'm also going to tell you if you actually need them, how to make the most of them, and I'm going to show you using this Freewell Mega Pack, which has got everything. There's a lot of different type of filters in here. I'm going to explain what each of them do, and we're going to make your life easy. Let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with what ND filters actually do on the Mini 4 Pro. So ND filters basically, whoa, the fly went in my ear, is basically like sunglasses for the camera. The reason we need these is because the Mini 4 Pro has a fixed aperture, it's f1.7, so in order to reduce the amount of light coming in, we need to use an ND filter. Now, why would we want to reduce the amount of light coming into the sensor? Don't you want as much light as possible for the best image? Well, in some situations, yes, but in these situations, we want to get the right shutter speed so we can achieve what's called natural motion blur. And because we can't adjust the aperture size on the Mini 4 Pro to reduce the light, in order to reduce the shutter speed, we have to use an ND filter. So let me explain shutter speed just to make things a bit more easy for you to understand. So on older cameras with a mechanical shutter, the shutter speed is basically how long the shutter would stay open to let light onto the sensor before it closes again for each frame of the video. Now on the Mini 4 Pro, we don't have a mechanical shutter, but we have what's known as a digital shutter. It basically does the same job, it just turns on and off the sensor to allow light to come into it. So to achieve what we call natural motion blur, you need to follow the 180-degree shutter rule, which states that basically your shutter speed should be double the frame rate that you're filming in. Now, the majority of the time, I'm filming in either 30 or 60 frames a second. So if I'm filming in 30 frames a second, my shutter speed wants to be 1/60, double my frame rate. But as we can see here, if I just leave the Mini 4 Pro with its standard lens on and I put the shutter speed to 1/60, we can now see the image is unbelievably overexposed and you can't use it. That's the situation where you stick an ND filter on the sunglasses, slap it on the front of the drone. That's going to reduce the amount of light coming in so you now get the correct exposure. If you follow that basic principle, you're going to end up with natural motion blur in your footage, which basically just means it looks more natural to the human eye and it stops everything being over sharpened. So if your hand is moving really fast, you actually see the blurry image like you would see if you were looking at something in real life. It just makes things more cinematic, more natural, and more pleasing to watch. So when we're getting set up to film, basically we just follow the same principle. So we set the ISO as low as possible. So in this case, we're always going to use ISO 100. It's a really bright day today. So we're going to need quite a strong ND filter. And because the Mini 4 Pro has a really big aperture from factory, we actually need quite strong grades of ND. So on a day like this, I would be using an ND 128. Now that's for when shooting in 30 frames a second. And a little hack that you can sort of know, it's not an exact science, but it kind of works out for me. If you're filming in 30 frames a second using an ND 128 and you want to jump up to shooting in 60 frames a second, all you have to do is just half the ND filter that you're currently using. So instead of using a 128, I would drop down to an ND 64. Basically, the camera is taking twice as many frames, so you need to double the shutter speed, so you should half the ND strength. Maths. Changing ND filters on the Mini 4 Pro is really simple. You just hold the gimbal with 2 fingers and then you twist the filter anti-clockwise and just pull it off. And to put it on is the reverse, so you put it on at a slight angle and then twist it to lock it into place. Super simple, really easy. I don't recommend that you change this while it's actually powered on and the gimbal is trying to self-steady, because you can put a bit of extra load on it and it might damage the gimbal over time. So to keep it safe, I would just power it off, swap the ND filter, and then go from there. But if you're in a situation where you're not sure of the strength of ND filter you should be using, before you start flying, just take the normal filter off of the drone, power it up, set your ISO, frame rate, and shutter speed, and then just take the ND filters that you think might be using and just kind of hold them up to the front of the camera, and you'll be able to see using either the display on your phone or on the RC2 what's going to look pretty much right. And you want to find the ND filter which just gives you the closest to the optimal exposure that you're looking for. Now, this video is not sponsored by Freewell. I did go out and buy this kit with my own money, but it's a fantastic filter kit. It comes literally all the filters you could ever need. You've got your standard NDs in 16 all the way up to ND 1000. You've got a snow mist, you've got a UV filter, a light pollution reduction filter, and then you've got a load of NDs with polarizers and also a circular polarized filter. Now, this all might sound a bit complicated, but I'm just going to go through them now and explain how you can use them really simply, and it's really not that daunting. So your basic ND filters, you're just going to want to use these on a normal day when filming some sort of landscapes, etc. anything just normal filming, they can do for any situation, to be honest. But if you're filming around things like buildings with reflective windows, or you're flying over water, to reduce the reflections coming into the camera, that's when we can use a polarized filter. So either an ND with a PL after it, or you can use the circular polarized filter, although you will have to adjust this maybe a little bit more to get the right polarization. Now, when using these polarized filters, Freewell actually make it really easy for you. So on the filter, you have a H, and then you also have a V on the top. And basically all this means, there's a little line on the filter. If you're filming in horizontal, leave a little line next to the H, and if you're filming in vertical, just twist the filter around so the line is next to the V. Very simple. All that means is so that the polarization is correct and your image will look good, and the flies will eat me to death. Okay, so the polarizing filter is basically just going to reduce those glare and reflections off of windows and things, and it's also going to allow you to see through water a bit better because it's going to reduce those surface reflections as well. Now, if you're using the UV filter, what this is going to do is going to help to reduce atmospheric haze. So if you're filming a broad landscape and you can see there's a lot of haze in the image, if you stick a UV filter on, that's going to help to reduce that, and it's also going to give you a bit more contrast in your raw image. Now, the LPR, which is the light pollution reduction filter, this is sort of best used in lower light environments when you have artificial light sources that can kind of cause unwanted effects in your image. So if you stick that on, it's going to help to reduce the sort of brightness and glare of those artificial light sources, and just going to help to, again, increase the sort of contrast and clarity of your image in lower light situations. The last sort of special one we get in this Freewell pack is the S-Mist, which basically just gives you kind of a snow mist kind of look. Going to be nice in certain situations. Here in the middle of the outback, it's not the one to be using, but if I was in the Arctic somewhere or in sort of a nice autumn setting, it would look really good. So do you actually need ND filters? Well, that's going to sort of depend on your level of cinematic snobbery, I guess. Basically, if you want really, really cinematic footage, yes, you need ND filters. If you're doing professional work, yes, you do. If you're doing YouTube work, then it's going to be up to you. If you want it to be really cinematic, use ND filters. If not, don't worry about it. But it also depends on the type of flying that you do. If you're flying really high up, miles away from anything, ND filters are literally going to make like no difference to your footage. Unless there's something moving in the frame that's moving quickly enough to create a motion blur effect, then you're not going to need an ND filter. But if you're filming something that's moving, like in this situation, I was filming a windmill, an ND filter gives you that really nice natural looking motion blur, where without one, the image looks way more crisp, way sharper, and it just doesn't look as natural. Because of that, your eyes just prefer to look at the image with motion blur than they do the one without. Another instance where they come really important is if you're flying low or close to objects. If you're flying really low to the ground, you're going to want the ground to get that natural motion blur, or if you're flying past trees and things, you're going to want them to blur as they go past. Otherwise, like I said, they're just going to look over sharpened, way too crisp, and just not as natural. But also if you're tracking something like a moving car, now you might not think an ND filter would be that important in this situation, but because the wheels are turning, if you're using a really high shutter speed, it's going to look really unnatural. Or if you've got an ND filter on, the wheel is going to blur itself into a nice sort of natural looking wheel. And like I said, it just looks better on the human eye. Okay, so we just had a pretty drastic change in the weather conditions. The clouds have rolled in, the wind has picked up, but I'm basically going to run you through the whole process of filming a flight using an ND filter. So we're going to start with turning on the drone, letting it power up, and then we're going to see what type of ND filter we're going to need for today. Okay, so we're now pretty much ready to go. The controller is on, the drone is on. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go onto the controller, I'm going to set all of my manual camera settings first. So what I want to do is go into manual camera settings. Then I want to make sure my shutter speed is going to be 1/60 because I'm going to be shooting in 4K 30 frames a second. Let me just change that to 4K 30. I'm going to be shooting in D-Log-M for the most dynamic range and the best picture. And let me just check my other settings. My ISO is 100, my shutter is 1/60. All good to go. So what I want to do now, you can see on the screen, the image is way overexposed. I'm going to run through my ND filters. I'm just going to hold them up to the camera lens. I'm going to see which one looks the most natural. Damn these flies. So I'm going to start off with a 64 because the clouds have rolled in a bit. I think this one is probably going to be pretty close to where we want to be. The clouds do look a tiny bit like they might be overexposed there. We'll hold up the ND 128 just in case. That one looks better. So we'll get that out, hold it up to the lens, see what it looks like. Okay, that one I think looks a little bit too dark, so we're going to go back to the ND 64. We're going to put that on, and we're going to start flying. Alrighty, let's send it up. Okay, so you can see now on the screen, everything looks really nicely exposed. All the settings are exactly where I want them to be. So I'm going to fly around and show you exactly what we get with the natural motion blur. So I'm going to bring it down, we're going to fly nice and low over these bushes, and I'm going to come back, I'm going to take the ND filter off and show you the same thing again without. Now I've already shown you some clips throughout this video of ND filters on and ND filters off to show you the effects. I'm going to show you again just right now so we can just get a real life understanding with the process that I've just been through. So let's bring it down and fly nice and close to the ground. Okay, we're all set up now. I've got it in sports mode, so my obstacle avoidance is turned off in this situation, but I want to get a bit more speed so we can see that motion blur really coming into effect. Let's go. There we go. You can see here as I whiz past everything that I'm getting close to is nice and blurry as it comes whizzing past the frame. And that is just basically that natural motion blur that we're looking for. Looks really nice, looks really natural. Okay, I'm going to do the same flight again, this time with the ND filter off, and now we can see the shutter speed has gone all the way up to 1/3200, and that's going to make a massive difference when it comes to natural motion blur. Let's see what we get. So you can see now as we're flying along, we don't have anywhere near as much motion blur as we did before. We're still going to get a tiny bit, but it's going to be nowhere near as natural. As you can see, everything just looks much sharper, and we don't have as much cinematic flair to this image as we did the other one. So as you can see from that flight demonstration, with the ND filters, we get that really nice motion blur, where without them, that motion blur is missing. Now you can actually add motion blur in post-production, but it takes way more effort to do that than it does just to put an ND filter on and capture it in camera. So I hope this video has been really helpful for you when it comes to ND filters, debunking all the myths and all that kind of things, and just showing you how to use them, what's the easiest way to get around it when using the Mini 4 Pro. Now, if you want to get more cinematic footage, you should go and check out this video here where I tell you the most cinematic rates to use for the Mini 4 Pro. There's also a really handy PDF you can download to get all those rates as well. So go and check out that video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.